Okay, awesome. So Laura has some success already with the marketing tools that Mark would you like to build upon that? Like tell us your good news?
Me
I'm talking, so
to
Laura,
Mark?
Laura, if you have more good news,
No, no,
let us
no.
know. If not, we can throw it to Mark.
Okay.
Yeah, I think the good news that we have going right now is the region's off and running with skincare.
Yes.
Our pre-sale dollars right now, I think, exceed other zones. So I think that we're really getting some good traction there with skincare using some of the negotiation skills and tactics that most of the team has gone through now.
Ooh. So if you can elaborate on what kind of skills that helped, that would be really nice to hear. What do you think what are the skills that really help with that?
I think that doing the analysis, I think in setting up the proposition prior to the meeting to making sure that we really understood what their agenda is and what their needs are has really helped us take a very targeted approach with
Okay.
skincare
Yeah.
and landing on the issues that really resonate with the client.
Okay. Okay. Huh. And is this a specific clinic? Are we talking about like a corporate group? Like who is the entity that we're talking about?
This is across the board, across all territories.
Okay.
Nice.
One territory. Perfect. And remind me, Mark, what's the brand for the skincare?
Skincare is a supplement. It's a brand new supplement.
Oh, okay, because I know we have some competitions nowadays
Yes.
with
Yeah,
supplements,
and more
right?
competition coming in. So Elanco is about ready to launch into the well visit space. So we've got a short
Yes.
window of opportunity.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. So if you would tell other PVCs who are focusing on, getting more skincare out there with the clinics, what would you recommend that they do?
Well, one of the things that I've recommended to my team, right away was to stop using the word case or cases, because a lot of the clinics right now are focused on streamlining their inventory or reducing their in-clinic inventory levels. So instead of saying case or cases, we narrow it down to pouches or dogs. So we're just talking about 9 pouches, and that's something that resonates with the clinics. It doesn't seem so overwhelming rather than saying 3 cases where they get this big expectation of a lobby filling shipment, hitting their door. Just 9 pouches sounds very palatable. Sounds like something that they could move through really quickly. And then just confirming their needs as far as, how many dogs with skin issues are you seeing on a daily basis? Well, it sounds like you could start with just 9 pouches. And so it
Okay.
sounds like a very minimal order as opposed to saying, sounds like you can start with 3 cases. That kind of sets off alarms. They get concerned about inventory levels. So I think
Yeah.
that's been very effective for us.
Wow. So start small, right? Don't
Well, the
overwhelm them.
description, it's the same size. It's just how you frame it up.
Oh, the
It's
framing.
Yep. So it's all how
Framing.
you frame it.
Okay. Framing is so important. And remind us, Mark, how many clinics is in your Chattanooga territory or
My
in your
Chattanooga territory has 200 clinics.
okay. And do you have other territories or just Chattanooga?
No, I've got all of the Midwest.
Okay,
I'm the Midwest region manager, so I've
that's
got
right.
11 PVCs.
Okay. Thank you. Perfect. Thank you.
Hmm.
Um, Brittany, what about you? Like what are some good news from your end?
I was actually trying to think about this because Mark, when you were talking, that was really great advice that I'm gonna steal. Because I didn't even think about it like that, but
Love it.
that's good. Um, Good news as far as like the training you're talking about that we went through,
Um,
or just good
I
news that's going on in the territory.
Yeah, good news in the tourist territories. What are some wins that you have lately?
Oh, yeah. So we hosted back in September a VIP tour for our Great Lakes region. And I had 2 clinics attend with me. One is a super large hospital in Ann Arbor, Michigan. And I was hoping to get them swapped, and it just didn't. We got back and it kind of was just like, I don't know, went stale. They weren't really engaging. And then January, like the second week in January, she just called me and she's like, "Hey, we're gonna swap all of our Royal Canin business to you," and it's like a
Ooh,
probably $100 to $200,000 a year
Whoa,
business. So
nice. Way
I
to
was like,
go.
"Oh my
Outstanding.
God, praise the Lord!" So
yes.
that was
Congrats.
exciting for me. It was okay. So just to give you guys some perspective on this, I show up. The hospital has 3 levels, and I didn't know that there was a 4th level. I just thought it was the basement. It's an underground parking garage for their employees. And I go down there, and I had 2 pallets of food delivered. That's how much food I had to swap out. It took me probably 6 or so hours to switch all the product out, get their shelves labeled and everything. Like, it was something I've never done before at that level. So it was
Wow.
an experience. It was great.
Okay. So that's amazing, Brittany. Congratulations. So what do you
Thank you.
think? What do you think contributed to that success with that hospital?
Honestly, I think to be quite frank with you, I think a lot of it had to do with our competitor changing their return policies. So when I took them with us on the tour, they loved it. They thought it was amazing. We love it. We love it. Love it. But we get back and we're like, oh, but we have Royal Canin and they're really great. So, but we love you guys. So we'll just
Uh-huh.
keep you in mind in the future type of thing. And then it was like our competitor, Royal Canin, made a switch on how they did their return policy and their damaged items and all that. And they did not hear from their rep. They heard this from when they called in with their return. And that just, for
Mm,
whatever reason,
mhm.
set them off. And they were like, you know what? He doesn't have the decency enough to call me and walk me through this before it happens. I
Yeah.
got blindsided. You have been knocking
Yes.
at our door trying to get in. We're going to give you our business. And that's how
Right.
it
Woo-hoo.
worked.
Wow.
But that's not the norm though. It doesn't just happen like that. So swaps can be anything.
Absolutely. And I'm just going to build on that, Brittany, because of the relationship that you built. You said it doesn't typically just happen. Well, it happened because of your work in advance, and they knew they could count on you one way or another, and they weren't getting that same connection. So kudos.
Well, thank you
Woohoo.
for saying that.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, so I hear connections. I hear staying top of mind, right? What else would you add as be like, hey, here's the insights from this success, Brittany?
Um, I would just say consistency
Mm-hmm.
too.
Yes.
Because just when you think like, okay, I've exhausted every single effort, sometimes just still showing up and being consistent on that, 6-week rotation or whatever your call cycle is, or whatever the plan is that you're working on, whether it's calling in clinics or you're doing something totally different. Being consistent with it and just
Yeah.
following the process through, I think definitely helps.
Yeah, and I was going to build on that thought, Brittany, in terms of reliability, because that consistency is also reliability, because they knew it was they could count on you to be there. So nice.
Yep, sure.
Yeah.
Let me-
That's kind of like surprising to me that like the Royal Canin, like they didn't make them feel respected. But like you didn't even let me know, and like I had to find this out myself. So that right there is like it's like a no-no, right? Um,
Yeah.
Also, Linda, thanks for bearing with me. I know you're taking notes and like jumping over the place, just depending on where the conversation is going. So if we can, any more successes that we should be aware of? Okay, so let's switch gear and let's jump to what are some of the challenges that we continue to see that would be helpful to discuss.
I think one of the challenges, and I put this in the survey as well, is that I think the negotiation training and the skills that we developed there were outstanding. I think they're really applicable to our roles. The challenge is always with so many multiple initiatives going on is
Yes.
affording yourself the luxury of utilizing them, because sometimes there's so many irons in the fire, there's so many ongoing, concomitant issues that you lose track of, or lose the ability of, unless you really discipline yourself, to use these skills and techniques, because there's just so much going on at any given moment.
Yeah.
So, Linda, you know me. So get ready.
Ready.
So I thought this call was going to be a little bit different in that you were looking for like feedback on the program and the calls we had, and that, not so much the actual content. So I've got a little bit of feedback on that if you guys want it. And it's similar to
Yes.
what Mark said.
Yeah.
Heck yeah, let's go.
Okay. So the first thing is, when I went to the class, knocked my socks off. It was so fun. It was so engaging. Linda, your energy was contagious, and I got a lot out of it. Then you get on the plane and you come home and 1,000 things are waiting and your email is inundated, and 2 weeks go by, and then I was like, and then you just forget.
Yep.
And so I found this today buried in my emails.
It's the one sheet.
Yes, well, it's 2 pages, but it breaks down the 4 stages.
Yep.
Yes.
I felt like it was the first time I had seen that today.
Okay.
So my thought is, or what I've been thinking is, what would have been, and if you want to hear this, great. And if you don't, just say this isn't what we're looking for today. But for me, and based on what I've talked with other people, what would have helped me be more successful, more engaged, and
Yes.
more in tune with the whole negotiation skills training was, number one, to dumb it down like this.
Mm.
Like every time you guys send out an email, attach this to it. Just automatically attach this to it.
Yes.
Because I remember being on several negotiations calls,
Mm.
the roundtables after, and I joined quite a few of them, Linda.
You
And a
did.
lot of us kept forgetting the term or the phrase or the process or the stage.
Yes.
And I think the more this is going to live on my desk now.
Mm.
The more, and you guys sent this out early. So, I mean, you gave us the resource, but everybody understands that with everything that goes on in a day, you just lose track and forget.
For sure.
And so, and that was the number one thing, I was always nervous going to those roundtables because I didn't feel as prepared as I wanted to be. I didn't feel as like I was going to have really solid examples of how I utilize these new skills and where I had opportunities, although I always know where those are. And so making sure that this is attached to like every one of those roundtable calls as a reference, I think would be super helpful. And my thought to this is like, how can we get more people at those roundtable conversations?
Right.
And my gut tells me that a lot of people don't do it because they're nervous or uncomfortable, like I was. I forced myself, even though I was uncomfortable. And some days I was winging it. Some days I felt more prepared, but I came anyway. But I think, so that's one thing. And then I don't know if we had this call or not. So if we did, clearly we need to do something in addition. But like a month after the training, really reviewing the training, not
kind of
just asking for examples, but literally probably taking us through this. Remember this, remember this. Have any of you been able to utilize this? How did you do it? Or where, kind of getting feedback and gearing it all around this to help us remember those key skills and those key talking points that you guys taught us. The terminology is new in a lot of ways, like the pre-mortem, postmortem, the accusation audit. Like when you say accusation audit, I'm like, oh shit, what was that?
Right.
Yeah.
So did I just swear? I'm so sorry.
You're good.
We didn't.
Mark's like, yep, you did.
We're all adults. It's fine.
It's 5 o'clock happy hour somewhere.
All right.
And I'm getting excited about this because I really loved the training. And I really loved all of you guys. And I hated it when it was me and one other person or two other people for the roundtable discussions
Mhm,
because they were always great. And so
mhm.
going into this call is like, how can they get more people to join in?
Yeah, I
And so,
think you bring up some really great points. I think the opportunity is then how do we get this embedded into our daily practice?
Mhm,
exactly.
mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the good news is, Tree, do you wanna address this or you want me to?
Yeah, I would be happy to, and then you can chime in, Linda.
Great,
Um,
great.
Laura, thank you so much for that, because not only that you notice that, Linda and I and our team also noticed that. We're like, we would love more people to show up on those calls because the conversations are amazing once people are on, right?
Yep.
And this helps us understand we should continue to attach this handout so people catch people up. Because the whole time we're thinking maybe they're busy, maybe they're busy. We didn't consider the element of maybe they're not comfortable with the skills, right? So
Yep.
thank you. That's one insight for me to take away from this call already. And so the another piece of good news is that with the negotiation lab, for those of us who have taken the negotiation skills workshop, in the negotiation lab, it's a day and a half. And the first day, Lori, is all about reviewing the skills. It's all about what have we done, what are the four stages, what are the skills that goes into the four stages, and then like the next day, it's all about how do we practice them,
Awesome.
right? It's all about driving home those skills. And again, to your point, it's like it was great, but like how do we make sure we embedded this into our daily practice? So I hope that helps with understanding where
That's
we're heading with this.
awesome. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
great.
Because the whole goal is to help you guys, right? To up your game. So thank you for that feedback. Linda, what would you add?
Well, Laura, to your point, and Tree said it, we would leave there going, oh my gosh, they had such great thoughts, such great insights. Why aren't more people coming? And so as a result, these two new things are coming out of that. Um, and so Tree, I was busy taking notes and I apologize, but did you explain what the case study, how that's a little different than the lab? Have you gotten a chance to tell them that?
No, I didn't go in depth. So the case study on April 23rd, is about bringing it's a start to this conversation, and it's gonna be led by one of the leaders, right? So Linda and I will facilitate it, but it'll be led by you all, and specifically we'll have someone from Nestle Purina vet side and be like, hey, here's the situation with all of us on this call. Maybe let's go into a breakout. You have 10 minutes or whatever, how long it is. Discuss how might you tackle this. How might you use the negotiation skills to tackle this, and we'll come back together, and then that leader will have a discussions with everybody. And this is a 2 hour call, so we might be able to go through a few scenarios. And that's just kind of like a start to what the negotiation lab could be. But the things that's exciting is we're gonna have someone from Nestle Purina leading the discussion, chiming in, providing insight from top down, and then hearing feedback from everybody on the ground as
And then
well.
this is gonna be a virtual call,
Yes,
and it's for everybody that went through the negotiations training?
correct. And we're
Okay,
gonna do two of these. We're gonna do one in April, and we're gonna do another one in September.
okay. If
It's
you
kind of
guys
like,
want somebody on the inside to send
mhm,
out an email and encourage my peers to join, you let
yeah.
me know.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think the
Well,
testimonial will be strong, Laura. I think that'd be great.
What's that?
I think the testimonial like that, in a peer-to-peer influence would be really, really
Yeah,
strong.
well, especially because Laura attended, I think, if not every single roundtable. I know she was in every one that I led. So she's a true testament of her successes came from her own and from some ideas that she's like, yeah, I'm going to try that. And she went back and tried it. So yeah, absolutely, Laura. Any help you can give us from the
good.
ground, please. Yeah.
Okay.
Awesome.
Okay. Thank you. Brittany, any thought on your end?
Yeah, I agree with what Laura was saying. I do. I think that I'm guilty of that. I didn't attend a lot of them because I just felt like, oh my God, what if they call on me and I don't know what to say or I say something
Mm,
stupid?
yeah,
Um, but
yeah.
so no, I do like this refresher though, because I thought the negotiation class was really awesome. I loved it actually. Um, and I wish we could do more of those, like even at our national sales meeting when we have breakout sessions. I think that's a great topic. I just don't think we have enough time for that. So I agree with Laura though, like pushing that internally, I think might help with people showing up.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, Linda and I will definitely make adjustments after today's call to ensure that everyone feel like, hey, we're caught up, we know what's going on, we have this visual in front of us to help us feel confident and comfortable, right? So if I can zoom out even more, right? We have these challenges with the negotiations. What about the challenges that we continue to see on the ground, working with clinics? What are some of the challenges that hopefully we can have discussions around when you're, you know, doing your day to day?
I don't know if this is exactly what you're looking for, but like my greatest challenges are competition, Previable, which I'm sure you guys have heard about.
Yep.
So competition, um, and comfortability. So a lot of clinics, so there's three really. There's reduction of inventory, which is my opportunity to sell in vet direct.
Yep.
So reducing inventory, comfortability. So you've got some clinics that just don't really care what you have to say. They've used Hills for 85 years. They want to keep using Hills or Royal Canin. And I have a hard time breaking through to those clinics. And then the other is the competition piece. So all three companies are good. All three diets are good. But we've got some that come out with very specific things that no matter how much you tell a clinic that it's not necessarily needed. And honestly, with competition, it's mostly Previable. And now treats and supplement treats in general, because I went into a clinic the other day and they had bins and bins of Hill's different kinds of treats and that kind of thing. But those are the three big hitters that I hear more often than anything else.
Yeah. And also I'm hearing from that is how do we continue to differentiate ourselves
Yes,
from these
Purina's
people,
doing a pretty good
right?
job of that.
Okay.
Especially with the last few little training things we've had, they've pointed out differentiators, which is very helpful. So they're doing a good job with
Yes.
that. They're
Yes.
giving us some really good marketing tools.
Yes. With that, Laura, is it possible for you to show me and Linda what that might look like? Even like if you have a picture of it, or like is there a way
With
for us to see?
the marketing tool.
Yeah.
Yeah, somebody else talk for a minute. I'll run to my car.
Oh, I didn't mean like right now, but okay.
I thought she
Oh, do
needed,
you want me to get it now or later?
I thought she had to get to the dentist. Are you watching your
I do,
time?
but I like being on the phone with you, so I'm
Well,
just
we
gonna
like
do
you
another
too.
5 minutes.
Okay. You can always send us an email if
Okay.
if you're rushed for time. You don't have to do it right now.
I'm all about get it done now.
I know. Because if you don't, then you forget about it, right?
So we've heard about some of the outliers that are and the disruptors that are coming in. What are you all feeling about some of those disruptors through the, through the Instagram channels and other social
Social media.
media. Those disruptors, how's that impacting you? What are you thinking?
I'm using it as an advantage. So one of our peers just am I talking too much?
No, you
Do you want me
gotta,
to shut, okay.
no, you've got your timeline. We want you.
Brittany, are you good? Okay. One of our peers I forget where she is, but regardless, just put together this amazing IHT presentation on supplements and the crazy market of supplements that are out there. and talked about social media and how bombarded you get whenever you're on social media, like add coconut water to your dog's food, or add turmeric, or add this or add that. And I've brought that up in multiple clinics, and they all go, oh my God, it's insane. So the clinics get it. The hard work is talking to the clients. So my job is to help the clinic find ways to help clients weed through all that and know that we are a reliable resource and a reliable company, and get the clinic to recommend our things to those clients when those crazy conversations come up about something they saw on Facebook, Twitter, whatever.
Mm,
Dr. Google's recommendation.
Oh my God. Yep.
mm.
Wow. Do you all have access to that we can get it?
The category insights from Chelsea.
Yes,
Yeah.
thank you.
Yep. Yeah, we can get that to you.
It's so good.
Yeah. If you'll send it our way, Mark, we'd appreciate it.
Yeah, and I think that's, Laura brings up, from us, from a differentiation standpoint and a market positioning standpoint, we're trying to delineate between therapeutic and well visit. So I think that's a new step for us, is to go into this well visit exam and understand what the common topics are between the pet parent and the doctor, and being able to, showcase the benefits of our line, our proactive line, that can benefit those pet parents in that space.
Mm. So tell us again, Mark, it's you're delineating between the well visit and what's the other one? What's the other?
Therapeutic.
Therapeutic?
So reactive versus proactive.
Okay.
The
And
easiest,
the well visit is proactive and therapeutic is reactive.
Yes.
Okay.
Correct.
Okay.
and the easiest way to do that is when in all of my lunch and learns now, I'll say, how many people in this room are taking a supplement or taking a multivitamin? And half the room, if not more, raises their hand. And so
Mhm.
then you tie it into the fact that we as people are supplementing. And then we know, and this is right from Chelsea's thing, Mark,
Mhm.
we know that 60% of pet owners today are millennials or Gen Z. And a chunk of that of the population is choosing to have pets, not kids. And so they want to do everything they can for their pets.
Mm.
And so they're Googling supplements. And then oftentimes it's not coming up in the conversation in the clinic. So trying to get the clinic to add in, when they do a diet history, are you supplementing with anything? Is there anything else? To make sure to start that conversation so that they can recommend a reliable
Trusted
supplement.
source. Yep.
And then, the wellness stuff, that's an easy one, in that if you're going to give your pet a treat, why wouldn't you want to give them a treat that has lots of added benefits?
Right.
And so, and I definitely differentiate on that one pager that I'll send you. Like, these are the reactive ones,
Mhm.
and these are the proactive ones. These are when you want to do everything that you can to support your healthy pet. You've got a 2-year-old lab, joint care is for you. So anyway, I don't know if I'm getting too granular here.
No, this is awesome. This is awesome, because then I can take this, and Tree can take this into the lab and into the training that we're going to be doing, because the more real world we can make it for them, it
Yeah.
becomes less ethereal, right? And you're like, hey, here's an approach, give this a
Yeah.
shot.
Right. Yeah. How do you effectively bridge from a therapeutic discussion where you've just gained the buy-in for EN and Fortiflora, to now we're going to step into the well visit where that pet parent has a concern about skin. And so it's a transition, it's a bridge statement that has to be effectively made so the DVM knows where you're headed and the direction of the presentation.
And with
Mm.
skincare too, like, specific examples, like I'll say to them, if I had a Frenchie, it would absolutely be on skincare. If I had a Shar-Pei, it would absolutely be on skincare. Even if there weren't any issues. This is something that I would just give it every day to help really maintain that good, healthy skin, to avoid any problems.
Mm.
Or to try to be proactive with potential problems is probably a better way to say it.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, Laura. I know it's getting close to
Oh,
your
I gotta go.
decision. You're not. You
Great
better
to see you. Thank you
Great
for
seeing you,
all your
Laura.
insights.
Thank you
Thank
guys so
you.
much. I'll see you
Of
soon.
course.
Bye,
Yes.
Laura. Thank
Okay,
Yeah.
bye.
Yeah. Throwing it over to you, Brittany.
Yeah.
What do you see as challenges on the ground?
On the ground.
Yeah, like, you mentioned a
Okay.
win with the hospital. Like on the flip side, what do you think is something that you continue to focus on dealing with?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of, I feel like sometimes we're all over the place, but like
Yeah.
some challenges that we're facing right now is I was actually just talking to two of our doctors the other day about this, is we have all of these pre-sales and we have all of these vet direct, like e-commerce initiatives running. And clinics, like we have to get placement in clinics, but clinics also want to transition virtually,
Yes.
or not virtually, sorry, e-commerce.
E-commerce, yep.
So it's hard when we're in here and I've been focusing on having a lot of lunch and learns on e-commerce and what that looks like for your business. And now my second round back, following up with that, I'm like, okay, but I need you to bring this product in. And they're like, but you just told me I should put everything online. I should
Yes.
only keep a certain, you know, so that can be challenging trying to like differentiate and maybe the way we're speaking to clinics, knowing of what's coming down the road, that we need to kind of I guess not fully hone in on everything going online, and knowing that we need some on shelf too.
Mm.
And then another challenge for us salespeople is when we're
Can
having
I can I ask
Yeah.
a clarifying question with that real quick?
Yeah.
Like, what's the importance of having products on the shelf? Is it like more for like the pet owners to see and they'll be like, I want to buy that? Or what's what?
Yes. And
Okay.
for well, two things. Yes, that like a visual piece, and then secondarily to that, us as sales reps. So me and Laura are in the field, whereas Mark is leading his team. So as field sales reps, we have a goal of placements that we have to get into clinics. So we cannot have our entire business online. Like
Right.
we
Yeah.
have to have placement goals in clinic.
Yep.
So there's times where it's very challenging for us when we're wanting to shift that business online, because clinics are overwhelmed. They're usually a ton of people working in a very, very small space. So they don't really have the space for in shelf products. Most of them, some of them do. So they're two very different pieces, and trying to
Right.
combine them together can be a little challenging at times.
Yeah.
Another thing, oh, did you have a question on that? Sorry.
No. You're good. Keep going.
Okay. Another challenging piece that we're facing, and this is something that's happening right now, and Mark, I'm sure you've heard this a million times, but when we have pre-sales for new products, we want samples of that before the product launches. Because I was just in a clinic today and the office manager said, well, do you have a pouch of this? Because I want to touch it. I want to see how squishy the
Right.
chew is, because we've used your guys' other chews and I just feel like they're a tad bit harder. So I want to see what this one feels like first. And it's like, darn it, no, I don't. But
Mm.
try it. You don't like it, it's guaranteed.
So what have you heard any insights from the company as to why those, like, is it a distribution issue? Is it they're really doing trials before they decide to go full blown?
It's a
market
manufacturing capacity issue. You only have so many lines that are dedicated to the production. And so our line productions are focused on the 30 count and the 60 count. And then as soon as we get enough, what we anticipated as the inventory required to launch, we're going to shift to a 7 count pouch on April 7th so that we've got samples out there. But it just comes down to a capacity issue.
Okay, thanks. Thanks for the clarity, because I mean, if there's a real issues, then how are we addressing them and that sort of
Yep.
thing? Thanks. Mhm.
Okay.
And
Okay.
honestly, I didn't even care about having a sample size. I'm like, I'll take the whole big size. I don't care. Sorry if I'm spotty. I'm in a real rural area too, by the way.
No.
We've got
You're
you.
good. You're good. Um, Mark, do you chime in on the challenges? not the challenges with the skills, but like the challenges that maybe your team is
Yeah,
facing?
I think our challenges is making sure that we're properly aligned with corporate objectives. That's the direction that the industry is going. So the better we align with the corporate goals and the corporate initiatives and objectives, the more well versed we are with the holistic picture in an account, I think is going to serve us well.
Yeah. Would you elaborate more on those corporate goals and initiatives so Linda and I are aware?
Sure. For instance, would be with our NVA initiative right now. Right now, we're considered to be a preferred vendor for NVA, but
Mhm.
as that information is cascaded from their corporate leadership to the individual practice managers,
Yeah.
that's where the challenge is, or can be a disconnect sometimes
Mhm.
that we have to fill in that void so that their practice managers are getting the message from leadership that Purina is a preferred vendor.
Yeah.
So how we
So
go about that is the
yes.
challenge. How do we
Yes.
go about making sure that the practice manager is in line with the leadership of the company, and that's true with whatever corporate group you want to plug in.
Yeah. So how how have we been dealing with that so far? Do we just go up to that practice manager and be like, "Hey, sorry, you can't. Like, we're the preferred vendor. You need to use our product." So, like, how are we dealing with that?
Well, that's the challenge is that it's a real gray area. There's not a lot of corporate groups that are truly mandating, so you really have to take a nuanced approach with the
Yeah.
practice managers. I think the what you could be doing is building relationships with the district managers. I think you try to get onto the every practice manager participates with monthly conference calls. I've suggested to some groups that we sponsor that Purina is the sponsor of that call. And however that looks, we could, manage that. But, doing different things to get our message, woven into the day-to-day operation message that they're going to get on their monthly call.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Um, Mark, you mentioned corporate group, and like
Mhm.
we had another focus group a few weeks ago, and we're hearing that corporate group is something that we are that we kind of some of us are struggling with in terms
Yes.
of like influencing, building relationship. Um, how do you see that showing up with your PVCs that you're working with?
Yeah, I think it's just, making sure that they're aligned with the corporate chronicles as that communication comes out so that they've got access to that. And as they're doing the pre-call planning, they're aware of what the initiatives are and what needs to be communicated in that call based on what is in the corporate chronicles. We're just launching or in the process of launching a system called Clinic Mate that's going to further assist PVCs in that pre-call planning to make sure that the messaging is on point and lined up with what the account managers have identified as opportunities for the account. So it's just making sure that everyone is as well versed with the information as they need to be. It's an additional step in pre-call planning that needs to be made.
Yeah.
So help me understand. So I'm typing as fast as my ears can listen. So this Clinic Mate is now a new software program that
It's an app for all practical purposes. It's something that's going to identify what the corporate initiatives are for specific corporate groups that people are going to be able to access, um, through Power BI.
Yeah. Okay.
nice.
I was just gonna
And you
ask.
said the account managers are doing the
Account
research.
managers populate it and share, put the information, and then it's cascaded to the PVC through a system called Clinic Mate.
Okay.
Wow.
Have you looked at it, Brittany? Have you seen, what are your thoughts there?
Now, I have not really played much around with it yet.
It's
Um,
still not, I wouldn't call it 100% up and running yet, but
yeah,
that's indicative of the direction that we're going in the need for, real-time information and be
Yeah.
current with what the needs of the corporate groups are.
Yeah. So
So
do you know
and
when
just
that
the
would
ease
be?
of
yeah.
finding information too with it. Sorry.
No, you're good. Yeah. I was gonna ask, when would that be? Because right now it sounds like it's in the beta form.
Yeah, I think it's going to
Not
be
rolled out yet?
fully up and running by the national sales meeting, which is the first week of June.
Okay. So by June.
So, um, definitely, I will mention this during negotiations next week because there's no reason that they can't start using it and getting familiar with it. Just know that it might not be all inclusive yet or all
Right,
encompassing, but
right.
sure, get in the habit of using it. Here's a tool.
Get
Nice.
the rhythm. Yeah, set up the
Yeah.
rhythm now.
Yeah, nice. Awesome.
Brittany, you kind of started asking about not just Clinic Mate, but retrieving information in general. Is that right? Did I hear you right?
Yeah, so this is just gonna be an additional tool for us to be able to get information in one spot. Cause I think right now it's just like, it's kind of all over the place. Mark did mention the corporate chronicles, which is really nice. Luke and I think just Luke sends those emails out and we have them, you know, in our email, but having more information in one spot for all, because we have a bunch of different groups. It's not just like five. I mean, there's a ton. And
Yeah.
some are in certain areas of the country
Uh-huh.
versus like me, I don't have some that are on the west or east coast. And I don't necessarily need to pay attention to those ones because they're never coming to my area. Um, and vice versa.
Yeah.
So, but it's nice to know where to find the info.
Okay. So right now you mentioned the corporate chronicles. Where else might we go to get information besides that?
We have a SharePoint site that we can get our corporate information from if we can't get it from Power BI or from the Chronicles.
Uh-huh.
So there's a couple different areas. So I think, and I might be wrong with this, Mark, but the ClinicMate is something to just try to streamline everything in one area.
Yeah, it is. It's a one-stop shop approach where you're
Mhm.
going to get the clinical message, and since you're in Power BI, you'll be able to do additional pre-call analysis for in that one location.
Nice.
Okay. Okay. You know, like besides the skills that we're gonna look at, review, and practice in the upcoming sessions, what I'm just excited about is the fact that we're gonna put people together and like all these issues that we're about to talk to each other. I mean, like, hey, this is what I'm trying in my territory, in my region, and here's what we're seeing as successes. Like that in itself, I feel like is already valuable for all of us to hear from and learn from.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So I'm really excited for that. Linda, what questions do you have
Um,
for Mark and
so
Brittany?
Laura kind of helped us out at the beginning in terms of what general information we need. And so we're definitely taking away, hey, refresh, review, other emotional qualities that might have held people back, right, from attending some of those accountability calls. But if you can flip back and Mark, you might have some insights for the other folks that attended it. What else should we know to help them during? So I'm going to do the negotiation skills and I've got new content here, but what else should we know that they might need for this lab and for
The case
the
study.
case study
Yeah.
so that we are approaching it from the right angle. So knowing that it might be people might be tentative, right? Because it's been a while since they learned. What
Mhm.
else should we be aware of as we're going
Yeah.
into these new trainings?
Yeah, I think just the biggest opportunity is to get it embedded into the daily process. And just like they did with the Clinic Mate, where that's a click on a Power BI, because everybody visits Power BI throughout the day, because that's the source of our number or quantitative analysis. Maybe we create a pass-through that shows the negotiation process so they can revisit it, or have it pasted within Power BI so it's in front of your purview at all times.
Mm.
You're always seeing it subconsciously, consciously. It's always there in front of you, and I think that'll help uptake the learning and help people, further embed it into the process, because when you're doing pre-call analysis, you should be inserting these negotiation steps into using that data and inserting that into the negotiation steps. So I think just getting it in front of people, and I think the Power BI platform would be a great place to add this to further embed it.
And
Yeah.
so when I use this term, can you literally spell this out for me? I'm sorry, I don't know this term.
Sure.
What letters am I saying? What words am I saying?
Power, yeah, it's just Power BI. It's a software that's out there. We use it. It's a software platform that breaks down our sales numbers and gives you a number of different looks, different optics as far as your sales results. That's where reps, PVCs are visiting on a daily basis. And so if we're there with negotiation information and help them, how do you translate your analytics, your analysis, how does that translate into presentation and negotiation?
Nice. So to approach that, maybe Tree, I'm just thinking about bringing this idea forward to Alicia and
For sure.
Doug, who have the power to make that decision.
Yeah.
But it's certainly, and maybe Mark, you also have the power. I certainly don't, but it sounds like an amazing idea so that we all are speaking the same terms. We all are using the same process. And oh, by the way, we might need a refresher and here's a place to click in.
Click through, take a look at the steps again, review the terms. That's the platform we all live on. And so if it's there, it'll be looked at.
Nice.
Yeah.
Thank you for that idea.
Yeah. Yeah. So Mark, I'm just curious from your point of view, like when let's think about when the reps are coming in for this negotiation lab,
Mhm.
like a day and a half. Like, what would you like to see for them that would be like that's worth their time? Like from your perspective, like if you can say, if we can do this during the negotiation lab, that would be amazing. Like, what would that be?
Yeah, I think you guys are already doing a great job. I think just further enhancing the case study to make it applicable to a specific challenge within their territory. So as they're walking out, and you already do that. We already do that as part of the training. But I think just really leaning into that maybe as the
Yeah.
pre-work, so that they're walking out the door with a solid plan in hand as a result of
Yeah.
participating.
Yeah, absolutely. That makes
Mhm.
me think, Linda, do we have that handout for them for your negotiation session next week?
You're talking about the 2-pager that Laura was just saying?
Yes,
Mhm.
yes,
Yep.
yes. Okay, and I'll make sure to have that handout for them as well when they come to the negotiation lab. So then, like they have it with them, right? So they can walk away with that.
And I hadn't anticipated pre-work, but I like where you're thinking, Mark, in terms of even if it's, hey, be thinking about, hey,
Yeah.
Mhm.
right? And or we can submit that 2-pager to the team in advance, Tree. So
Yeah.
Yeah,
there's some thoughts. So they could be say, hey, here's your pre-work, review this process, know these, refresh these terms, right? And don't be
Yeah.
afraid to come if you don't have them all polished. Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're going to help you solve some of your biggest riddles.
Love that. Okay. And so with that, so just to reiterate, so the case study and tell me from your perspective, because I mean I'm getting ideas here. From your perspective, what are the areas that we should focus on? Because I keep hearing like corporate groups, like pre-analysis, like what else would you include as like specific areas that the case study should be built around from your
Uh,
perspective? There's no right or wrong.
yeah, I think that swapping from the competitor, that's our number one opportunity for exponential growth. And yet some really struggle with it. So
Mhm.
I think the biggest, and it falls right into the whole negotiation training pinnacle, I think, would be refining that skill to get our competitor accounts to switch to Purina.
Yeah.
That to me is the pinnacle.
Okay. Okay. What else?
I was thinking too, I know we only have 3 more minutes, Mark, but I was thinking of, as you look at your team, and you can't necessarily say Tree does this and Linda does this because
Yeah.
we're all different humans, but overall, are there like things that you see consistently? You're like, oh my goodness, if they would
Mm.
just do ABC. Do you have a specific ABC in your head that collectively they struggle with, or?
I think
Mhm.
collectively, the biggest issue that their biggest hurdle that I'm trying to get them over is they're telling, not selling, and just being comfortable with selling.
They ask.
They share information, and they're really good at sharing information, but
They're
that's
just
only going to
not-
move the needle so far.
They're just not asking for that sale. They're not
Yes,
closing the deal.
they don't. Yes.
Got it. Got it. Yep. Beautiful. Thank you.
Mhm.
Okay. That's awesome.
That is awesome because those are the specifics because they're developing the relationships, which
We've
you
got great
all
relationships.
do
They're
beautiful.
comfortable sharing information.
Just
But a lot
not-
of people are really uncomfortable. They don't want to get tossed out of the clinic. They don't want to be seen too salesy. I hear all the time. But we're there for a purpose. We're there to
Yeah.
drive results.
And we see that comment in the survey as well, Mark. I think
Mhm.
somebody else put in there. I think it was Evan. It's like, yeah, focus more on selling and not telling, right?
Mhm.
For sure.
Yep. Yep.
Beautiful. Well, we can't thank you enough for your time, Mark, and I'm
Oh,
sorry
absolutely.
the other two zipped off. Tree, what else do you have to add before we hop off?
No, I think we're good. So what I do actually have one thought, Mark, if you get asked to join the case study session as an expert, is that something you would be interested in?
Sure.
Okay, I'm just throwing that out there. I think
Yeah.
Alicia is like spearheading that, but
Mhm.
okay, she's like, hey, who do you think we should ask? I'll be
Okay.
like, I'll throw your name in the hat.
Okay. Perfect.
Nice. Thank you,
Beautiful.
Mark.
All righty. Thank you
Yeah.
guys. Have a great day.
Great
Hey,
to
thank
see
you
you
so
again.
much.
Yeah. Bye now.
Bye-bye.